Now, next lady is Ursula. Ursula Halligan is the political editor with TV3, and Ursula wrote a phenomenal piece during the campaign, which was one of those standstill moments of the campaign for me and really was a landmark moment. So delighted to hear more from Ursula Halligan, as I say, from TV3.
Thank you. It's great to be here. When the Irish Times published my article a week before the referendum vote, I was absolutely amazed at the number of letters, emails, texts I received from people saying, "Me too, your story is my story." And that's because I had lived most of my adult life secretly thinking that there was something wrong with me, that I was a mistake of human nature. All I knew for sure was that the outside world didn't reflect my inner reality. Society, church, media, and family pushed a gender stereotype at me that didn't fit my personal experience. Images of what a real woman should be left me feeling very confused and defective. But instead of trusting the core of my being, my inner truth, my conscience, I figured that others, those pillars of wisdom in society, knew better. After all, didn't they have the weight of history and even God on their side? Wasn't it the natural order of things? Hasn't it always been this way? I reasoned that if the stereotypes were wrong, wouldn't a lot of people have challenged them, taken to the streets and said so a long time ago? Now, of course, a lot of brave people did challenge them, but someone like me, growing up in a middle-class Catholic family, didn't hear their voices loudly enough. They were distant noises on the margins of my world. Apart from the occasional person on TV, I didn't see or know any gay people when I was growing up. I grew up in a culture overwhelmingly ordered to suit one sexual orientation, and that was heterosexual. Despite all the great David Norrises and other brave champions of gay rights, I suppressed an important part of my humanity until I was in my 50s because I believed that there was something wrong with me. Now, I won't go through my story again because you already know it. I simply mention it to make this point. It was only after my article was published and the referendum won that I fully accepted that I was not alone and that there were many, many other people who felt exactly the same and had kept silent about it, just like me. The article tapped into a section of the population who told me they identified with every word I had written, people like me who had suppressed an essential part of themselves to conform to the dominant gender stereotype. Grown men and women who had hidden the truth about themselves from parents and families for years. Reading their letters, emails, and texts was an amazing experience. Empowering, certainly, yes. But it also filled me with great sadness. It brought me face to face with the pain, shame, and impoverishment of so many lives trapped in silent prisons, people who'd been prevented living complete lives and denied their full humanity. And why? Because a flawed understanding of what it is to be human was handed down over the years, endorsed by religions, and never seriously questioned or challenged until about 60 years ago. The silent suffocation of gay people over the millennia happened because of the huge pressure in society to conform to whatever the dominant group decided was normal. In less serious ways today, the same social pressure is at work. The examples are numerous. Just look around. Look at the number of teenagers wearing jeans with gaping slash cuts just an inch below the knee. It's almost standard issue uniform now. At that age, being the odd one out, even in terms of something like a pair of jeans, can be painful. Challenging the beliefs of any dominant group is difficult. Doing it without resorting to violence, requires patience, hard work, thinking and planning. It's the sort of inspiring work that Gráinne Healy, Brian Sheehan and many other campaigners, some of which we're hearing right now, have been doing for years. Looking back, I can see that they created the space that allowed me and others feel safe to raise our heads above the parapet. Brick by brick, they built the road that I and others would eventually choose to walk on. I wrote my article for the Irish Times because I wanted to help the Yes campaign. It was a critical moment in the country's history, and I admired their courage and the way they went about their business. I especially admired their decision not to rant at or to demonize those who disagreed with them. I knew they understood that many potential no or undecided voters were intelligent, decent, good-living people who were understandably cautious about making changes to the conventional family as they had always known it. These people were not our enemies. They were our friends, our family, our colleagues. The challenge was to persuade them to vote yes because it was the right thing to do. And that's why I wrote my piece. I thought, if I could tell my story absolutely truthfully and honestly, if I could help people climb into my skin and walk around in it for a while, they might better understood what it was like for me, at least one person, to be gay. The barrier between them and us might dissolve. I've already told you about the reaction I got from other gay people to the piece I wrote, but the reaction from people who weren't gay was just as powerful. Many told me they changed their intention to vote from no to yes after reading it. Some of them were staunch Catholics in their 80s. They said I put a human face on the issue, a face that they knew from their television screens, and it registered in a way that no abstract argument or cold set of facts could ever have done. And yet I don't totally agree with the person who said after the recent Brexit referendum in the UK that facts don't work at the ballot box. You've got to connect with people emotionally. Actually, I believe that the two go hand in hand, and that I used both in the telling of my story. That's because by virtue of my existence, I am a fact, a real human being who chose to tell the truth about her life so that people who weren't gay could better understand, and by doing so, touched people at an emotional level, the level of the heart. Thank you very much.
I think the applause says it all.